when my daughter was receiving care and post-operatively, her surgeon was her second kidney transplant, and her surgeon was pregnant. And so in the post-operative phase, surgeon was not available because she was home she had just had a baby. So someone stood in for her, another colleague came to do rounds. And when she came into the room, she stood at the end of the bed and she had residents with her. And she began talking to my daughter and teaching her about things and telling her about things. And my daughter just turned her head to her. She was having some complications, so it was a little bit of a hard time. She turned her head, and finally the surgeon stopped talking and got kind of awkward. And she said, is this not making sense to you? And my daughter said, you don't even know me. And you start lecturing me about things that are not at all what I'm concerned about right now. And then she just turned away. So the surgeon felt a little embarrassed, obviously, and in front of her residents. She said, well, maybe this isn't a good time, and they exited. A few minutes later, the residents who were with her came back in to check to see if my daughter was okay, which I believe the surgeon asked them to do. I don't think that they just randomly came back in the room. And sorry that this went the way it did. And about 3 hours later, the surgeon returned. And she came in again with the residents, were with her. And she said, can I have an instant replay on that? That did not go well. Immediately, she had my daughter back. I thought that was such a beautiful, and from there, the conversation did go well because she asked and then she listened and then they talked. But what I found so touching about it was the care. She was busy, the surgeon was busy. She came in, she was doing her task and she fell into that mode. That can happen. She could have just left it like that, but she didn't. She came back and she recovered and she reconnected. And I will forever be grateful to her as the mother in that room with my daughter, trying to do her best to recover from yet another complication, and having a surgeon not respond from a point of I'm right and you're wrong, but what's going on here? And they talked about what was going on here. So what, from an emotional connection perspective, Lola, what do you hear in that?
Well, first of all, I love that example because it reconfirms our longing for connection. Really,
Yes.
even the surgeon's
The
need,
surgeon,
the
yes.
surgeon need for connection. And your daughter, when she turned away, it wasn't that she didn't want to connect with the doctor. The daughter turned away because in that moment, the question, are you there for me? Do I matter to you? Is no. Was a no, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Was a no. Like, can I count you? No, because you're lecturing me. We are so sensitively attuned. We're like amazingly attuned, especially with our attachment figures, like the care provider. They are attachment figures for us. Our
Yes.
life depends on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so when she turned away, she's basically saying, I can't connect with you. I'm scared because I don't matter to you. This is my fear. You're just lecturing me what to do transactionally, but you're not
Yes.
tuning in with me how scared I am. My doctor is not there, so I'm turning away because I can't connect with you. And what's interesting, and when she paused, she said, like, do you understand? She's reading the cues. The
Yes.
person turned away from me. Now she's getting disconnected. The surgeon
Yes.
is getting disconnected.
Right.
And she starts to doubt herself, saying, like, am I doing something wrong? Am I doing the right thing? So she goes out. She sends the residents back just to check in because she's too embarrassed. She wants to hide.
She was embarrassed, and I also think she cared enough to want to make sure Alicia was okay. Both of those.
Exactly.
Yes.
She cared enough because there's a longing for connection. In 3 hours, she comes back feeling more balanced. Maybe she talked to somebody who encouraged her to come back and repair the connection. And now she can, again, give the right message, which is, you are important to me.
Yeah.
I do care
Yeah.
about you. You do matter to me. And I
Yeah.
want to be there for you.
The surgeon came back. It wouldn't have mattered what she said. She was authentically there because she cared. You could feel it when she walked into the room before she opened her mouth. That's a balm for healing. Authentic connection is a balm. And so it's not about having to be perfect. I think that's the other reason I love this example so much. There's not about being perfect every time, but it's also about being willing to be vulnerable in order for a connection to occur. And surgeons are authority figures. This is a very rare behavior on the part of a surgeon. In my experience, I've been in healthcare 40 some 50 years now. It's not a personality characteristic, which I think was the other reason that was so touching to me, to see that kind of care.